Jay, you are a Dookie, okay, through and through. So
me, man. Sometimes I feel like you call me a piece of poop. We talk about this nickname. You can say a Blue Devil. The Dookie thing just bothers me.
Okay, we're gonna switch it up. You aren't a Dookie. You are a Blue Devil through and through. Is that better?
Yes, so much better. Thank you.
Jay, you are a Blue Devil. When you played, you guys had championship or bust aspirations. Those were the expectations for Duke. What do you think about Duke now and then leaving this tournament so early?
You know what, man? It's the expectations still are championship or bust. That's felt every single day, and you can trust and believe that whenever you feel in the shoes of maybe the greatest of all time, that is a weight that Jon Scheyer has on his shoulders, just not us as former players to support the program, but to continue the legacy and then also separate and create the Jon Scheyer legacy, which is going to be different than the Coach K legacy. So I think this year's team's done one hell of a job. Our expectations, what we would like for them to have been, no. But look, I think we found out a lot about ourselves. Jared McCain is an absolute stud. I hope Tyrese Proctor comes back to school, but who knows about his personal situation. Kyle Filipowski's a special talent. At times, you still see there's still a ton of room for his own growth in particular. And I think Jeremy Roach, it's the hard part. There's only one team that wins a championship. So I think we're all disappointed, but you still have to be able to remove yourself away from that situation to say, how has this team grown and how have they collectively come together? And that's what every team has to experience.
Let's talk about UConn. I mean, they're the defending champions. UConn is absolutely dominant. You've seen some dominant teams, Jay. How does this team stack up as some of the dominant teams that you've seen in the past?
Well, I mean, obviously, think about teams that have gone back-to-back. Florida with Joakim Noah and company. I think Florida was more talented, but I think this may be a better team. I think they may be one of the best of all times. Now, that doesn't mean talent-wise, right? But, I mean, here's the interesting thing about if they're able to pull this off. It's a completely different team, right? They lost 7-8 players from last year's squad, man. And there's something about when you hear players say, well, last year's team isn't this year's team, right? Like, we're not the defending champs. We're just like everybody else in pursuit of a championship. You really feel that with their attention to detail every single possession. I don't think people recognize how hard that is to do, to get young people to play hard and to not think about their own individual stats, to get them to buy into what the team is trying to accomplish, especially in the defensive end, man. And, Mike Greenberg of Get Up made a joke like they can compete with the Boston Celtics. And I said, they're not NBA talent, but they execute like an NBA team. And I think when you're able to do that, that's going to set you apart within the college landscape. And that's what we're seeing on a day-to-day basis. I mean, 30-plus margin, man. That's damn impressive.
I agree. Now, you talk about team. Let's talk about an individual. Zach Edey, man. Jay, you played in the league, so you know what it takes to perform at a high level on that stage. He's 7'4". We're seeing a lot of these big guys there. Does he have what it takes to play at a high level at that next platform?
I think so. I think there's certain players, Tyler Hansbrough being another one of these kind of players, that you have to be able to compartmentalize what they're doing at the collegiate level compared to what the style of the NBA level truly is. Right now, think about Nikola Jokic, the versatility, the dexterity, the footwork, the passing, the way they're able to utilize him on the perimeter, the shooting. Zach Edey is more of a traditional big. So, people may take offense to this, but so much of the league is about the right fit. It's about where you get drafted. And if that coach actually doesn't try to fit you into their style, but maybe more so builds a style around you to a certain degree. So yes, I think Zach Edey can be a pro, but a lot of it is dependent upon what team stylistically has the right fit for Zach Edey to perform at the highest level against the versatility of how the league is being played in today's sport.
We want to do a segment, Jay, and it's called What Would Jay Say? I'm going to throw some phrases at you, and I just want to know, what would Jay say? I'm going to start with something near and dear to your heart. So I'm going to say this. I want to know, what would Jay say? The blue blood era in college basketball is over.
It's close. It's close. And why it's close is because, like, think about Dalton Knecht. He was at a junior college a couple of years ago, man. He'll be a top 5 pick in the draft. People may say, oh, well, that's an anomaly. I'm like, oh, okay. Mark Sears plays for Alabama. He's in the Final Four. Starting guard for Alabama, was a mid-major a couple of years ago. So I think what you're seeing now is you still got some of the top tier teams, but there's so much more parity, because if you're at a mid-major, if you're putting up 18, all of a sudden you're looking at the bottom tiers of these Power 5 conferences, and you're saying, yo, I put up 18 here. I can go start in Nebraska. Like, let me go get them. Let me go get my NIL. Let me go get my money right. And so I think now what you're seeing is a lot more parity within the league, because talent is way much more dispersed than it's ever really been. And you have players that are mid-level guys that just maybe didn't get the right timing, recruiting-wise, didn't get the right looks, maybe didn't hit the right AAU circuit, maybe didn't get the right marketing around them. And now with these NIL bags, schools are always in the free agency market. We ain't calling it the transfer portal. It's the free agency market every single year. And the hustle is real. So you have schools that are like, you play some of these mid-majors at the beginning of the season, you might drop 23 on me, and I might be hitting you in the warm-up line saying, yo, what's up? You want to come here next year? You want to be like our 7th or 8th guy next year? You want to put in that work, get this NIL bag? That's how it's so different. So that parity is a real thing to make me think that, yeah, the blue blood era it's not over, but it feels like it's close because everybody else is catching up all the time.
Oh, okay. Kaitlyn Clark should take that $5 million from Ice Cube and play in the Big Three.
No, Kaitlyn Clark should take that $5 million offer now that it's got imposed publicly and say, oh, you're willing to give me 5? How about you give me 7.5? And how about you give me rev share of the league, and then I'll come play for 3 years. I'll sign a 3-year contract. Let me get my $21 million guaranteed, and then give me a portion of whatever that TV deal is that you signed. And maybe I can walk away making a cool $60, $75 million. And then I'll bring all that marketability back to the WNBA. And then you'll increase the sports rights again for the WNBA, because now I've arrived. That's what Kaitlyn Clark should do.
Okay, Jay, wearing your business hat. All right, let's move on to the next one. Fans storming the court should be banned.
Nah, man. Look, I'm all about how do you market the product. So right now you got Overtime Elite, you got the Australian League, you got all these kind of like minor leagues to the NBA. So what are the differentiating attributes of college that make it different? Like, and court storming is one of those, man. So here's what I'm not going to ban court storming, but you know what the hell I am going to ban? The 300-pound security dude who ain't in shape to stop nobody, who can't run or the security dude wearing a yellow jacket who's 85 years old. Like, can we have legitimate security, and could there be protocol in place? Like, we used to do this all the time in college, because when we would go places, stadiums would get crazy. We would have, at the back end of our walkthrough, we would have an exit strategy. We would say, okay, in case anything popped off, here's where security is going to be. Here's where these safety points are on the court. And here's our exit. Here's where all the people in the yellow jackets will give us a tunnel towards our exit. So we knew that whenever the play ended, if that was an end of game scenario in which we lost, we were all on a beeline right towards that. And it was geared. But I don't think a lot of universities, even though they get fined, have really taken that protocol seriously and actually have walked through that before the game. So the protocol and how we go about it needs to change.
Jay, the NIT is obsolete.
It's been obsolete. I mean, look, I'm just, with NIL and the way you're going to market your program, unless you're a young team, but if you're a head coach that has a cachet or has clout, it almost hurts you more than helps you going to the NIT. I'll give you an example. St. John's. Everybody's like, oh, Rick Pitino should have gone to the NIT. If he goes to the NIT after making his case publicly that they belonged in the tournament, right, and they lose the NIT, that hurts their recruiting trip. You much rather have the narrative, look, we should have made the tournament. I'm only going to settle for the best. And if you go to the NIT and you lose in the second round with all the parity we see in this sport, without knowing where your team's actually going to be there, how many guys actually want to play, who's leaving, you're wasting time in the portal because the transfer portal opened up, free agency. So you got to get in that quick. You're wasting time on the recruiting market. You're wasting time raising funds for your program to help NIL support. And also, if you lose early, that's going to hurt you more. It's going to help you. So not just obsolete, it stands for not important tournament. I hate to say it, but that's what it is.
Hey, sports fans, if you want to see more conversations with athletes and stars, check out these videos right here and be sure to subscribe for more from USA Today Sports.